It started with a simple request. I was in my kitchen washing up after dinner when my phone rang. The name on the screen made me pause. Ryan, my best friend Lissa's younger brother. I hadn't seen him in years, not since he was a young lad, walking behind us when we were in high school. The last time I'd heard from him, he was in his senior year of school, and now apparently he was 18. Curious, I wiped my hands on a plastic cup and replied, "Hey, Rian, this is unexpected." "Hey, Sophie," he said. His voice was deeper than I remembered. "Oh, I hope this isn't weird, but I need a favor." She smiled at me. "It depends on the favor." She hesitated, then cried, "Can I come over?" "I don't want to do this over the phone." A worried sound came through me. "Are you okay?" "Yes, I promise. I just need to talk." His tone was nervous, almost embarrassed. I checked the time. It was only 7:30 in the morning. With a silent sound, I shouted, "Even if you couldn't see me, all right, let's go." I had barely put down my phone and my mind started racing. I hadn't thought about Ryan in years. To me, he'd always been Lisa's brother, the one who'd come over to the house and wander into our conversations, trying to be really warm. But now I realized he wasn't a kid anymore. When the doorbell rang, I was nervous. Biting back the feeling, I wiped my shoe and opened the door. Ryan was there, Tano and slow, his arms outstretched, filling the doorway. His dark hair was a little loose, his arm narrower than I remembered. But it was his eyes, warm, uncertain, searching, that made me pause. "Hey," I said, walking past. "Hey!" He was coming, walking towards me. His scent was of kaolin and something else, something familiar and unmistakably adult. "Do you want something to drink?" I asked, trying to ignore the strange tension in the air. "No, I'm fine." She reached for his hair. "Thanks for letting me through." I stood up against the painting, opening my arms. "So, what is this?" I exhaled slowly. "I need your help with something. It's a little boring." I held out my arm, waiting. Ryan fretted, his fingers bunching against his jeans. "Ouch. I need a woman's perspective. Someone I trust." My curiosity intensified. "Still?" His eyes opened in the morning, filled with determination and concern. "I've never been with anyone before, and I don't want my first time to be something random and meaningless." The words hung in the air like a static charge. My breath caught, my heart stretched out on its own. "Ryan," my voice was softer now. "Careful. I know it's crazy." He came closer, her eyes widened. I trust you. You're the only person I can ask." I looked at myself, trying to process what he was saying. He wasn't joking. There was no laughter in his eyes, no erosion, just rare sincerity. A sincere statement from someone who was on the verge of something new. A strange, unexpected calm spread through me. It wasn't just the request itself, it was the way he looked at me, the silent respect in his expression. I took a slow breath. "Ryan, that's a great thing to ask. I know," he said quickly, and he wasn't expecting anything. It just snapped, breaking the back of his neck. I just wanted to ask. For a long moment, we were silent. The air between us felt thick, filled with something neither of us fully understood. And yet, beneath it all, there was something undeniable, a change, a possibility. And for the first time in a long time, I felt something stirring inside me. I sat up, pressing my sticks against my legs, trying to warm up the rumble of emotions inside me. Ryan was still there, shifting his weight, his hands in the pockets of his jeans. He looked at me expectantly, but there was no pressure in his expression, just sincerity. I took a slow breath. How did I get here? "Ryan," I began carefully, choosing my words. "This is not something to take lightly." "I know," he said quickly, moving forward. "That's why I came to you. I don't want it to be meaningless. I want to feel comfortable, safe, safe." That word caught me off guard. I trusted her, not just with his request, but with something deeper, his vulnerability. I reached out with a hand through my hair, bidding myself time. What was I supposed to say? He was so young, just entering his teens, while I had already lived so much. And yet, sitting here, I didn't feel like the 50-year-old woman I was supposed to be. There was something about Ryan, the way he looked at me, the quiet intensity in his eyes, that made me forget the years between us. Ryan, I told him again, my voice softer this time. You could be with someone your own age, someone who's thinking things too. His arm opened. I don't want that. Why? Because I don't want to find myself in that situation, she admitted. I don't want it to be boring, rushed, careless. I want something real. Her eyes searched for mine. You always felt real to me, Sophia. Even when I was younger, I could tell you were different. You weren't like Lissa's other friends. You actually listened when she talked. You never opened up to me. I was bored. I hadn't realized I'd noticed those things. I don't want to be a mistake to you, Ryan, I said calmly. He exhaled, taking a step closer. You wouldn't be. Something about the way he said it had hurt my stomach. It wasn't just curiosity for him. It wasn't some desperate decision. He looked at me with intent, with the kind of respect that was rare, even for men my age. I looked at myself outside, my mind racing. I should have said no. I should have stopped, told him it was impossible, sent him back to the door, but I didn't. Because from afar, I also knew what I felt. A forgotten part of me, a woman. Not just a friend or an ex-wife, but a woman still waiting to be seen, to be loved. And in Ryan's eye, I saw something I hadn't seen in years. Admiration, desire, a quiet reverence. I was bored hard. Ryan, this would change things between us. I know it, she said without hesitation. And I'm okay with that. I gave a nervous laugh. You're very self-assured for someone with no experience. That made him sound a slow, crunchy sound that sent an unexpected calm through me. Maybe, but I know what I want. The room felt smaller, the air drier. My pulse quickened rapidly. The second, like Ryan, took another step, close enough now that I could see the tension in his eye. The way his fingers moved a little, as if he wanted to get closer to me but was pulling himself back. I could stop this. I could say no and pretend none of this ever happened, or I could acknowledge what I already knew deep down. I wanted him too. Maybe not just for him, but for me. Because it had been so long since anyone had looked at me like that. Since I had felt something inside me that wasn't just sweet or routine or loneliness. And when I met his gaze, I knew I had already made my decision. Slowly, carefully, I reached out and pressed my fingers against his hand. His breathing quickened, his body tensing at the small contact. He was waiting for me to decide. And I did. I looked at him with my voice almost below a scream. Are you sure about this? Ryan screamed his corn plantain as he squeezed it, more than anything. I let my fingers fall on his stick, our hands intertwining, and then, finally, I pulled him to me. Ryan's fingers tightened around me, their warmth spreading across my skin as we stood there, caught in the fragile space between hesitation and surrender. A million thoughts raced through my mind. Questions, warnings, reasons to escape, but none of them felt as real as the rise and fall of his breathing, the still anticipation in his gaze. I've spent so much of my life putting others first, being the responsible friend, the ex-wife, the woman who always thought things through, but tonight wasn't about logic. It wasn't about the past or a future. It was about this moment, the way Ryan looked at me like I was someone brave, not just someone who had lived too many years to be desired. I reached out, my teeth-like fingers pressing against his boy. His skin was warm, soft, untouched by time, in a way that made me hyper-aware of my own fine lines. As he moved closer to my touch, closing his eyes for a brief second, I realized none of that mattered. I had spent so much time thinking my best years were behind me. That desire, that passion to be seen, were things I would never look back on with longing. But here, in the stillness of my room, with Ryan so close, I felt something stir inside me. I wanted this. A ragged breath left my lips as I called out to him. Are you sure? Ryan screamed, her voice calm. Yes. That was all I needed. I closed the space between us, pressing my lips against his boy, in a slowly tentative kiss. Ryan strained a heartbeat before it melted away. His hands found my chest, unsure but eager. The kiss was soft at first, delicate, but then his fingers parted against my lips and something changed. There was an urgency beneath his eagerness, a hunger filled with restraint. And God, when was the last time someone kissed me like that? Reverently, with the kind of quiet sound that made my chest ache. We pulled apart, not breathing, eyes searching each other's faces. Did I do well? He asked, a small, nervous smile coming from his lips. He smiles at me, my finger gripping against his chest. Perfectly. Ryan exhaled, his cry in my chest relaxing. Sophie, I don't want this to be a mistake for you. I kissed him, holding his gaze. It's not. And I wanted it. Because no matter where this led, no matter what tomorrow brought, tonight was ours. For the first time in years, I let myself feel, and I wouldn't regret it. The morning light creaked through the doors, yellow and soft, painting the room in a dark glow. I sat on the edge of my bed, staring at the window, lost in thought. Ryan was already gone, turning with a silent goodbye, a fade that said more than words could. I hoped that the return would help me. I hugged myself with guilt, with reproach. But all I felt was peace, because last night was not a mistake. It was not reckless or stupid. It was two people choosing each other for a moment that would always belong to us. I didn't know what was next, and for the first time in my life, that was okay. Because sometimes life isn't about planning. Sometimes it's about allowing yourself to be alive. And last night, for the first time in a long time, I had been truly beautifully alive